Hello, everyone. This is Michael Justin Lee, the president of the Ivy Dream. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Aspire, our podcast channel in which we talk with current students and recent graduates of the most elite universities. Today, we are very happy to be joined by Kuzey Kantarcıoğlu from Turkey, who is about to start at Stanford University. Kuzey, welcome to our interview.
Thank you so much for having me here, Michael.
We are delighted to have you join us. Kuzey, you're actually the first person we are having on our podcast channel who is about to start at a top university. Could you tell us about your journey, how you selected Stanford to be where you choose to spend your next 4 years?
Ooh, sure. So, I'll be honest, my initial dream school, from the onset of high school, was probably Yale. And I applied early and did get into Yale. So I had to really narrow my options while applying to regular decision, just try out the couple of schools that I would have liked to go to or get into that I would have chosen over Yale. And Stanford happened to be one of those few schools. So I got in. I had this huge process of just thinking which one would be the better fit for me. And at the time, I was in Berkeley, California, for a robotics competition, for the first robotics competition's East Bay Regional. So I had the chance to just take an Uber to Stanford's campus and visit the place. And yeah, I guess you could say that that's when I really sort of fell in love with Stanford's campus. And the more I looked into the academic opportunities that would have been presented to me at Stanford, the more it felt right to just go there. Because I'm a tech person, especially interested in computer science and AI. And Silicon Valley and Stanford are inseparable. And Silicon Valley is the place for tech startups and artificial intelligence. So it was, in a professional sense, a no-brainer for me to go there.
Well, I'm very happy for you, Kuzey. Kuzey, given that it's so well known that Stanford is strong in that area, why, may I ask, was that not your first choice initially?
Well, I'd been to Yale before in middle school for a competition. And that was my first introduction to colleges in the United States. And that being there, that experience was what put the idea of going to college in the US into my mind, I should say. Yale University's campus is really beautiful. The Gothic architecture, the buildings, and not only the architecture, but the people itself. The people that I met there, the students and my friends who were studying there at the time were all just amazing people. And I knew that Yale was very interdisciplinary. And in addition to AI and computer science, I'm really into linguistics as well. I study Japanese, Italian, and German. And I thought that at Yale, with the computer science and linguistics major that they offer, I'd be able to pursue both of my options and do something in the future that combines both CS and linguistics. However, the more I thought about it, the more I saw Stanford as the perfect fit for me. Although I would have been equally as happy as at Yale University as well. So that was sort of my journey. And that's why, as I mentioned, I had this huge, difficult process while deciding which school I really want to go to, because I love both.
I think we can call that a very pleasant problem.
Right, definitely a first world problem, the type of problem that I'm privileged to have. But
That's wonderful. Kuzey, you mentioned that you were not definite about applying to university in the United States.
No, I meant that going to Yale University in middle school was what put the idea of applying to colleges in the United States to my mind in the first place. because I live in Turkey and I went to a high school in Turkey. And although I knew that I want to pursue, like I did want to go to university in some capacity, but I mean, in middle school, you think it's still too early to consider that. But having that early introduction to what college is and can be for me was a really huge paradigm shift for my perspective, I should say, of what I want my educational career to look like. And Yale played an integral part in that, so, like a defining part, and that's why it held a very special place in my heart for so long.
Oh, I see. I see. And that was middle school. So, did you start preparing for university in the United States during your high school years?
Right, I did have the goal of studying in the United States, but I also looked at high school as an opportunity to develop as a person, and academically to explore my interests. So I wasn't like um in that pre-professional mindset, or I didn't look at the activities that I'd done in high school as this transactional thing that where I only do activities or study certain classes if they'll help me get into good colleges. Because then what's the point of high school? I mean,
Yes, indeed. Did you attend a high school that was in the American style of high school education?
right, definitely. The high school that I attended is called the American Robert College of Istanbul, which was founded in the Ottoman era and is the first high school that the United States opened outside of the US. Yeah, so although it's still tied to the Turkish Ministry of Education, it does have an American style to it. Like we had AP classes, and a lot of our teachers were from America as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'll get to the application process shortly, but let's talk about your studies while in high school. You mentioned that your school had AP courses, which is wonderful. Did you engage in the kind of extracurricular activities that I assume you know most American high school students participate in?
Probably. So I did do first robotics competition. I was the team leader of a FRC team called Golden Horn. Our team number is 8159 if anybody wants to check us out.
I know FRC.
Right, right. I mean, it's primarily.
My son does that.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's FRC is pretty US centric, so I assume all our students who are into STEM in the United States would also do FRC in some capacity, or maybe the First Tech Challenge, which is again related to the First Foundation who organizes these events, but is in a different category.
Yes, he did that too.
Oh, yeah. So, uh, guess the answer to your question is yes. Some of the activities that I've done are these sort of activities that US high schoolers would do. I also did a couple tech internships at local firms, and I had the privilege of conducting research at a local university, um, but via a summer program. So I initially applied with the summer program and then continued on with my research at the university, which was also a nice way of really engaging in depth with artificial intelligence and natural language processing, which is the science behind all these chatbots and chat GPT stuff that we have going on nowadays.
Yes, indeed it is. Did you say you were doing research at the university level already?
I was a research intern or a research assistant, you could say, for the PhD candidates and the professor at the university. And it truly was a very valuable experience. They taught me a lot, and the overall breadth of information I learned there, as well as the research methods, will really serve me well in my college career as well.
That is fascinating, Kuzey, that a high school student could be working with professors, university professors on their research. May I ask, how did that come about? That is magnificent extracurricular activity.
Thank you. I did find this opportunity through a summer program initially at the university, and then connected with the professors since I was really interested in the research that they were doing on combining linguistics with computational methods. And I do know that in the United States, there are a lot of research opportunities, such as winter or summer programs that certain universities, especially UCs like University of California universities, offer. So I would look into that. Although I can't name them off the top of my head, I do know that as I was researching opportunities, I came across a couple of them. I'm not an American citizen, so I couldn't apply to a lot of the programs that I wanted to apply. But it's still good to know that they're out there so that I know what resources are and aren't available to me as a Turkish citizen, and so that I can adapt accordingly.
Yes, indeed. Was that research conducted in the United States?
Oh no, it was a local university, uh, but like a pretty successful one at that. It's called Koç University. It's one of the premier leading institutions in Turkey. I should say it's a private research university, and its computer science department is pretty renowned. So I was privileged to be engaging in that. I know that there are certain paid research programs that allow students to work with professors in the United States. I myself shied away from those because, um, I mean, if you're paying someone to come up with a research project, I'm not sure how successful that could be unless the student is really passionate about the topic and engages with the topic with that passion in mind. But there are, I mean, at a certain point, there are certain opportunities that you could seize for yourself by perhaps cold mailing professors and finding internships by utilizing your own network or your school's network, which I've done. I've utilized my own network, not the school's network, but it's still helpful to get a sense of what opportunities are out there for you so that you may develop both academically and professionally.
Yes, indeed. That indicates tremendous initiative and motivation,
Thank you.
which I must commend you on. Um,
Thank you.
so let's turn to your high school years. I'm going to assume, I think I can assume this, you took many science courses and went on to their APs. How many AP exams did you wind up taking?
I believe around six AP exams, so not that many. I know that in the United States, comparative students might be taking up to like 11 APs, perhaps, or so I've heard. Our school offered limited elective uh, slots, I should say, and APs were counted as electives as opposed to the standard classes that are required by the Ministry of Education in Turkey. So the classes that I've taken were also the AP exams that I've taken. I didn't find it beneficial or productive to self study for any other AP exams without taking their classes.
Kuzey, at what point did you prepare to study for the PSAT?
I didn't really study for the PSAT. Our school has all 10th graders, so like sophomores, take the PSAT. However, I did sort of, not sort of, I mean, I did study for the SAT after taking the PSAT and seeing where I struggled the most. I didn't take any private lessons or anything or went to any SAT classes. I found the Khan Academy resources online sufficient enough, and the resources provided at no cost by the college board to be enough for me. But I also love reading in English, just reading scientific articles and research papers, as well as fictions, fiction and nonfiction books. So I didn't struggle much with reading comprehension. The math portion of the SAT did have a couple equations that I had to memorize that we weren't taught, or we were taught in like previous years, but I had forgotten. But apart from that, my SAT preparation process went pretty well, and I took the SAT in the spring of 10th grade, if I remember correctly, and got a 1580 on that. So I didn't feel the need to study for the SAT again.
Congratulations. 1580 without much studying. That is among the best in the world.
Thank you. I mean, I wouldn't say much studying because, I mean, it really depends on a person's specific skill sets, whether they're, or like their affinity for reading comprehension, say, or for reading the type of passages that the SAT presents to students. I did have an affinity for that, so I was privileged enough to get a high score on the SAT doing the type of studying that I'm doing, that I did, or perhaps I should say. But yeah, definitely no judgment to people out there who are struggling with the SAT, because it is a pretty dense exam. And especially with the digital SAT, it's gotten even more crazy, I'd say.
Yes, that's regrettable for students these days. But with such a great score, I must assume that by the end of your sophomore year, you were, correct me if I'm wrong, you probably had Ivy League in your sights.
Well, sure, I did, in a sense. Uh, I should say that I wasn't sure of my chances at first, because I've never been valedictorian in any of my high school classes. I mean, in certain courses I did excel. I did get like A plus or 100 out of 100, but I wasn't close to being in the top 10 of my school, especially because in ninth grade with the pandemic, I sort of struggled. I mean, I still got decent results, but it pushed me further and further away from the top 10 GPA people in my school, I should say. However, I found out pretty soon. I mean, not that soon. I found out at the end of 12th grade that your class rank really doesn't matter as much as what your application presents to an admissions committee holistically. So now I look back and see that I was stressing out uh, about my GPA not being the highest in a very unnecessary manner, and that I shouldn't have done that. So, yes, I was very stressed out at certain points in high school, especially during my junior year, where I took five AP classes at once. And yeah, wow, I had to study a lot. I spent all of my free time studying for different stuff, while also being a team captain to my robotics team and doing different internships, and also other activities and learning Japanese. So yeah, I was busy and a little stressed out. Yeah.
Indeed, you were very busy. I could understand that. Indeed, let's now turn to that topic of application. Many high school students do not know what you just said about the holistic nature of the application process. May we ask you, how did you um, approach the essay writing process in such way that you were able to communicate what you are all about?
I think, well, starting to write your essay, you need to know who you are. I mean, of course, it's really hard for a 17 to 18-year-old to know what they want from life at that stage in life, but you have to have a general understanding of who you are as a student, like academically, what are your passions, or as a person, what are your, how would other people define you? And you need to really select specific personality traits and um, your passions, and connect them with experiences you've had in your life. Or you need to be comfortable sharing moments in which you are vulnerable, or moments that were defining to you in your life. And that's what I try to do with my essay. I intended my Common App essay to be uh, really packed with information, not in like a bombardment sort of way where these readers are overwhelmed, but in a way that'll leave them after reading my essay feeling like they know me as a person, that they can relate to me in a way, and that they know my academic aspirations or my personal aspirations and my personality traits. And writing an essay like that really bolstered my application in many different ways, because the motivations that I've underlined in my essay went on to support the extracurricular activities that I listed in my activities list, and also allowed me to write supplemental essays that explore different sides of me. Thus, my application, so when you look at it holistically, conveyed who I am, what I want to do, and what I can do to the admissions committee, which I believe was pretty important in my acceptances, because people that there are people out there, international students with higher grades and higher SAT scores and more AP exams, but they might have been rejected from, say, Yale or Stanford, whereas I was accepted. So I attribute that to my essays and to my application making sense and being appealing holistically.
Yes, that is indeed a great advice that we counsel our own clients on. That's wonderful that you know that. How much do you feel your letters of recommendation contributed to your application?
I was really close with my teachers that wrote me my letters of recommendation, and I conveyed to them my academic aspirations and why I want to study in the United States, and why I want to go to, say, Yale or Stanford, and why I want to research computational linguistics. And they connected what I said to them with how they perceive me as a student, both in the classroom and in the extracurricular activities where they've served as my mentors or coaches. And of course, it was forbidden for me to read their letters, so I can't be for sure. But they really I feel like their letters were really impactful, because they were people that knew me well, and they wrote letters that probably supported what I tried to convey in my application, which is important to hear that from a different person, because in your application, you pledge to be honest, but especially with international students who can't be like subject to US laws or code sometimes, it might be hard to verify certain aspects that they're presenting in their application. But having your teachers, your school, and your counselor, and what I mean by that is the counselor letter, which every school is supposed to write, which accompanying your application. So their letters really did support the things that I tried to convey in my application, or so I think.
I'm comfortable saying you are certainly right about what you said. And now, Kuzey, you're within weeks, maybe days, of traveling to Stanford to start. Let's jump forward a few years. Kuzey, what would you like to do with the education you will receive at Stanford?
Two things come to mind right now. Firstly, to engage in research, more specifically, cutting edge artificial intelligence research in natural language processing, which allows humans to seamlessly interact with artificial intelligence or machines. That has always been a topic that has intrigued me ever since I read like Isaac Asimov's books in like middle school, just interaction with robots. And yeah, so that would be the first thing, just to do research on my passions using what I learned at Stanford. And secondly, to perhaps work on developing technologies of my own that incorporate artificial intelligence and software engineering so that I may be the developer of a product that'll help people. I I really do feel fulfillment from creating tangible things and uh, seeing people benefit from what I'm doing, like either my actions or the products that I'm making. I've had that happen in certain parts of my life with a couple of my extracurriculars, since I was also like a developer in a sense, and with all the activities that we've done with our robotics club. Uh, I got the sense that I enjoy creating things and sharing it with people. So I hope to be doing that as well.
Wonderful. Um, Related to that, my final question, Kuzey, uh, let's move forward not just a few years, but a few decades. What do you feel would be success for you in your life?
Hmm. Well, success for me in a few decades would probably be measurable by the amount of social good I generated, firstly, because I mean, serving individual purposes rarely, if ever, advances society. But to have things that I've worked on benefit society as a whole or fix a certain problem is lasting, way more lasting than I say an average human's lifespan. So yeah, if I were to quantify success, that would be one of the major, say, criterion.
That sounds wonderful. To our audience, we are very happy to have been with Kuzey in this episode. He's about to start at Stanford University. And Kuzey, it has been a true joy talking with you. And it is our hope and even expectation that you will come to great things in your life.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your kind words, and thank you for having me on the podcast, allowing me to speak to your audience. I hope that I was able to perhaps say something that will be of use to some of the listeners out there, or say something that will perhaps inspire some people, especially students who are currently applying to college. And to anyone listening, feel free to reach out to me, especially on LinkedIn, if you have any questions at all on things that I've done. And again, it has been a blast being on the podcast, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Kuzey.